The chair was the part I kept thinking about, not the unlocked basement door. Not the tape on the frames. Not the stranger asking about a lock he should not have known existed. The chair. One of my aunt's dining chairs had been dragged into the middle of the kitchen and turned toward the basement stairs, like someone had been sitting there, waiting for something below the house to open. Welcome to the last broadcast, where some stories were never meant to be heard. I was only supposed to stay there for 3 nights. My Aunt Marlene had passed away that spring. She was not my real aunt, but she was close enough that nobody in my family ever bothered explaining the difference. She had no husband, no kids, no one who wanted the responsibility of sorting through a house full of old furniture, expired soup cans, and plastic bins labeled with masking tape. So my mom asked if I could sleep there while we cleaned it out. The house was a split level in an older suburb outside Dayton. Tan siding, brown shutters, a cracked bird bath in the front yard. The porch light stayed on all day because none of us could find the right switch. It did not feel haunted. It felt empty in a way that made every small sound seem like it had a source. The first thing I noticed was the fake rock. Marlene kept a spare key under it beside the hydrangeas. My mom told me to bring it inside before showing started. When I picked it up, the rock was already open. The key was still there, but it was warm. It had rained most of the afternoon. The grass was wet. The fake rock had mud on the bottom. That key felt like it had just been held. I stood there with it in my hand, looking up and down the street. A woman was walking a dog. A mail truck idled near the corner. A kid next door sat on a skateboard like he had nowhere else to be. Nothing worth calling someone about. So I put the key in a coffee mug above the microwave and told myself metal feels strange sometimes. That was easier. Later, while I was carrying boxes to the garage, I found a strip of masking tape across the back door, low, near the floor. It ran from the door to the frame, like someone had sealed it. I thought maybe my mom had done it. She labels everything. Keep, donate, ask me first. She once labeled a box cords and still kept it. But this tape had no writing on it. I peeled it off and threw it away. 10 minutes later, I found another strip on the laundry room door. Same height, same careful placement. I almost texted my mom. Instead, I typed, "All good here," and sent that. I do not know why I lied. Maybe because I did not want her to worry. Maybe because I did not want to sound like a grown man scared of tape. Around 11:20, headlights moved across the living room wall and stopped. I was on the couch eating microwave pasta with a plastic fork I found in one of Marlene's junk drawers. The TV was playing an old cooking show she had recorded years earlier. I muted it. The car outside sat there idling. No door opened. Nobody came up the walk. After half a minute, the headlights rolled away. I looked through the blinds, but the street was already empty. The next morning, I blamed Kyle. He was the kid next door, maybe 15. Thin gray hoodie, always outside, but never doing anything. He had a skateboard with one missing wheel and still carried it everywhere. I found muddy footprints near the side gate. Kyle was sitting on the curb. When I asked if he had gone into the yard, he said, "No," too quickly. Then he said, "That gate doesn't latch right." I had not mentioned the gate. I told him to stay out of the yard. He looked past me at the house and said, "I don't go in there." Not, "I didn't, I don't." For a while, blaming Kyle helped. A bored teenager was easier to understand than whatever else my mind wanted to build. That afternoon, the realtor came by. His name was Dennis. Navy vest, coffee breath. The kind of guy who called the cramped hallway a transition space. I told him about the key and the tape. He listened, but not really. His face stayed polite in that way people get when they think grief has made you dramatic. "Vacant homes get attention," he said. "We'll secure it." He installed the lockbox on the railing and checked the windows with me. Every latch clicked. Every door held. He pulled on the basement slider twice and said, "Solid." For about an hour, I felt embarrassed. Then I posted the desk. Marlene had a heavy roll-top desk in the den. Nobody wanted it. My mom said, "Please just make it disappear," like I had a truck and 3 spare backs. So I listed it online. Free if you haul. I took 3 pictures, one from the hallway, one from the den doorway, one close-up of the drawers. I did not notice what else was in the photos. The back hall, the floor vent, the basement stairs reflected faintly in the glass of a framed painting. 10 minutes later, someone messaged. His name was Ray. No profile picture.
"Desk still in the den?"
I said yes.
"Can it go out through the garage?"
I said probably. Then he sent, "Does the basement door lock from your side?" I stared at that one until my phone dimmed. Before I could answer, he wrote,
"Wrong chat. Sorry."
I deleted the listing. I should have left then. I know that now. But leaving felt like admitting something had happened, and nothing had technically happened. A weird message. Some tape. Headlights. I plugged my phone in upstairs because my charger barely worked unless the cord was bent under something heavy. I remember using one of Marlene's old sewing books to hold it in place. Small, stupid detail. But I remember it because later I kept thinking how close I came to leaving my phone upstairs. At 8:47 that night, the doorbell rang. I stayed still. It rang again. Then came one soft knock. A man outside said, "Dennis?" I picked up my phone. He said, "I'm here for the walkthrough." There was no walkthrough. Dennis had said no showings until Saturday. I texted him, "Did you send someone here?" He called almost immediately. I answered, and before I could speak, Dennis said, "Do not open that door." The front doorknob turned, slowly. Not forced, just checked. The man outside said, "He gave me the code." I stepped back from the hallway. Dennis was talking fast now, asking where I was, asking if there was another exit. I went to the kitchen. A fresh strip of masking tape crossed the laundry room door. Only this one had been cut clean through the middle. That was when I understood. The tape was not meant to keep doors closed. It was meant to show which doors had been opened. I ran to the garage and hit the opener. The motor clicked once. Nothing moved. I hit it again. Click. The red emergency release cord had been looped around the ceiling bracket and tied into a neat knot. Not broken. Not jammed. Tied. Outside, footsteps moved off the porch. Then along the side of the house, toward the gate, toward the basement. I went upstairs because my body picked a direction before my mind did. From the sewing room window, I could see the backyard. The grass was dark from rain. The basement windows were glowing yellow. I had not turned those lights on. A man stood by the basement slider in a tan jacket and baseball cap. He was not trying to break it. He was wiping the glass with his sleeve. Slow circles, like he was cleaning off fingerprints. My phone buzzed. A message from Ray. "Basement doors easier." That was when I called 911. I remember whispering the address, then having to say it again louder because the dispatcher could not hear me. I remember her telling me to get behind a locked door. There were no real locks upstairs, just old bathroom buttons you could open with a fingernail. I went into the bathroom anyway and shut the door. A minute later, the basement slider opened. No crash, just the soft roll of the track. Then the basement stairs creaked. One step. A pause. Another step. He knew where to put his weight. I climbed into the tub and pushed at the little frosted window above it. It had been painted shut for years. The first push did nothing. From downstairs, something scraped across tile. A chair. I pushed again. Paint cracked. The opening was barely wide enough for my head. Then the floor outside the bathroom complained. One board, right by the door. A voice said, "I'm not coming in." Calm, almost annoyed. "I just need you to stay there." That was worse than shouting. I kicked the bathroom door once, mostly so the dispatcher would hear it, then shoved myself through the window. My shoulders stuck. My shirt tore. For one ugly second, I thought I had trapped myself halfway out of the house. Then I dropped onto the little garage roof and slid on the wet shingles until my hand caught the gutter. Behind me, the bathroom door clicked open. Not kicked. Opened. I shouted toward Kyle's house. His porch light came on first. Then his dad came out. He stared at me for a second, like his brain refused to accept what he was seeing. Then he started yelling. The police arrived a few minutes later. The man was gone. They found the basement slider unlocked, the garage release tied, the side gate propped with folded cardboard so it would look shut but open silently. They found more tape too. Pantry door, coat closet, small door under the stairs. Dennis kept saying the lockbox code must have been guessed. Nobody answered him. Kyle finally told the officers he had seen a man in the yard 2 nights earlier. He said he thought it was me. Then he added something that made everyone stop writing. He said the man had been carrying a dining chair down into the basement. The next morning, they checked the basement again. Behind the water heater was a storage closet with a hook latch on the outside. Cheap hardware, new screws, bright silver against old wood. Inside were 2 water bottles, a sleeping bag, a phone charger, and the dining chair. Facing the door, one officer said maybe someone had been sleeping there. Maybe. But on the inside of the closet door were 4 short scratches in the wood. Not tally marks. Measurements. Height of the latch. Width of the gap. Distance from the floor to the handle. And in the dust beneath the chair, there were 2 clean rectangles where shoes had been placed over and over, like someone had practiced sitting there, reaching, waiting. The police called it trespassing, possible burglary, maybe stalking. I stopped listening after a while. I just kept looking at the chair, because it was not facing the door so he could watch someone come in. It was facing the door so he could pull the latch shut from inside the closet. So if anyone checked the basement, it would look empty. My mom sold the house below asking. I did not go back inside after that morning. 3 months later, traffic pushed me through that neighborhood. I passed Marlene's old street before I realized where I was. The house looked normal. New shutters, a plastic slide in the yard, flowers near the porch. Somebody had made it theirs. I almost kept driving. Then I saw the garage. The door was open about a foot, just enough to show a dark line underneath, and hanging from the red emergency release cord was a fresh nut. Neat, centered. The kind you tie when you already know exactly how loud the house is.